Hello everyone, this is Purnam Kuvar, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Bagipalli. So today we'll be discussing subject Consumer Behavior, which is for BBA 5th semester, Bengaluru North University. So consumers decision making process. This is for the 4th chapter and today's concept for our discussion will be consumer research process. So how consumer research process will take place, what are the different steps in the process, how the research will take place to understand the consumer behavior, and what are the different aspects in consumer research process we will be seeing today. So let us first quickly recap the previous class session, what we had discussed. That was the topic researching consumer behavior. First, we are going to research consumer behavior, understand the consumer behavior. We have seen how we can understand consumer behavior, what are the methodologies which is used, which can be used to understand the consumer behavior, where we have seen the two methodologies, that was quantitative and the qualitative methodologies, and how these quantitative research methodologies and qualitative research methodologies both will be combined to understand the market and to frame the marketing strategies by the marketer, where he can directly understand consumer behavior pattern. So friends, before exactly starting our today's topic, let us first understand the learning objective of the chapter. The learning objective of the chapter is to provide an understanding of consumers' decision-making process. We are going to understand here in detail what is decision-making process, and in particular how the consumer's decision-making process take place. The session outcomes. The students will be able to discuss the process of consumer research. So here you will be understanding in detail what is the process, what are the different steps in consumer research, how we can conduct a consumer research. So friends, let us start today's topic, consumer research process. So before exactly going to the topic, let us understand first what is this consumer research. Consumer research consists of a set of techniques and principles for systematically collecting, recording, analyzing and interpreting data that can aid decision makers who are involved in making goods and services or ideas. See, it consists of various techniques and various principles, which these principles and techniques are used for systematically. We are going to use the various techniques and various principles in a systematic format for collecting, for recording, analyzing and interpreting data that can aid, that can help decision maker who are involved in making goods, services or ideas. It can be used for manufacturing or producing goods or services, or creating some ideas which are very innovative and very creative in nature. So this consumer research is all about this. Now, consumer research plays a very important role, a very important aspect, especially when a company decides to launch a new product into the market. So these companies are going to conduct market research to better understand the consumers, their needs and their satisfaction level. So it is not only just understanding the consumer and understanding their behavior, but also the consumer research plays a very important aspect. It plays very important role in, especially when company decide, when any company or any person, if he decides to launch any new product into the market. So before launching any new product, we should first understand the available market, the present market condition. So to understand the present market condition, this consumer research plays a very important role. So various companies will be conducting this market research just because to understand the consumers, their needs and their satisfaction level. So what are the available consumer needs? So within those available needs, how best I can develop a new product which will be satisfying or which will be targeted to satisfy those consumer needs. And once the product has been launched into the market, we are going to analyze whether whether my product has reached the ultimate objective what I have said, whether by using my product are the consumers satisfied, or if not, why they are not satisfied. We are going to make a detailed study about that also. This is also part of consumer research. Now let us see exactly what is this consumer research process. So here, first we are going to develop objectives. This is a simple format we are going to understand. Then step by step we will see in our further slides. Now, what is this consumer research process? First and foremost, we are going to fix some objectives. We are going to develop some objectives. On those objectives, we are going to conduct this entire research, which is exactly relating to the consumer. So first thing, we are going to develop the objectives. Once the objectives are developed, once the objectives are fixed and set, we are going to collect the secondary data, because primary data will be with us only at this while developing the objectives. Then we are going to collect the secondary data. Now, this secondary data can be collected in two different formats. First thing is, we are going to design qualitative research method, okay, where screened questionnaire, discussion guide, this will be prepared in the qualitative research method. Now, this qualitative research method, we are going to conduct a research using highly trained interviewers, and then this will be followed, and data would be analyzed. Once we conduct the research, that analyze data, then we analyze the data that is in subjective nature, and then we will prepare the report. So this is about the qualitative research method, where first we are going to design the qualitative research method, where we will be preparing some screened questionnaire or some discussion guide, which will be followed again by conducting the research, where we will be using highly trained interviewers who will be conducting this. Then we are going to analyze the data in a subjective nature, and then we are going to prepare the report. Simultaneously, coming to the other side, the collection of secondary data can also be in the quantitative research method. So here we are going to design the quantitative research method, where sample design would be selected, and then the data collection instruments would be decided, like from whom the data can be collected, what are the different instruments where this data can be collected. So here this will be followed by, we will be collecting the primary data. Okay, this primary data we are going to collect, and then these primary data would be analyzed, and then we are going to prepare the report. Now in all these, we will be having exploratory study. So when we are designing the quantitative research method, we are going to consider exploratory research study. Now, so that was just a brief research process. Now let us see what are the steps in this research process. First step comes with defining objective, or it can also be called as need of research. We are going to first understand why I am conducting research, or why I should conduct research. What is the purpose of conducting this research? What is the need of conducting this research? We are going to understand and frame it in the step number 1. Then comes designing the research project. So after the objectives have been set or defined, to reach those objectives again, we will be designing the research project. Now what is this research project? How we are going to design? Then the next step under this is data collection. Once the design of the research project is completed, then we are going to collect the data according to the design set. Then the fourth step will be followed by analyzing the data. Once the data is collected, both the primary and as well as the secondary data, then we are going to analyze the data. So once the analysis of data is done, the final presenting the result, we are going to present the result in the form of a report. So these are the 5 important steps in Research process. First is defining objective, designing the research project, data collection, analyzing the data, and then presenting the result. Now, developing the research objective. The first step in the consumer research process is developing the research objective, which involves defining the purposes and the objectives to ensure an appropriate design. The statement of objective helps to define the type and the level of information which is needed. So here we will be fixing the statement of objective, where we are going to define what type of and what level of information we are going to collect, and which is mostly needed for this objectives to be achieved. Then designing the research project. So how can I design the research project? Like, where can the data be found, from where I can get the data, that is secondary data which is already collected and readily available, we are going to use it. But the primary data, which is first hand information, from where I can receive, from where I can collect the data, at this stage we are going to design from where I can collect the data, or from where I can find my required data, both the primary and as well as the secondary data. Then, so while collecting the data, we have, while collecting secondary data, there are two distinct sources of secondary data. One is internal and the other is external. Always seek internal sources first. Always first we will collect the internal sources of information. That is, that will, we go, most go straight to Google without considering the fact that data might exist within the organization itself. So before exactly going externally, first let us understand internally what are the data which are available and which can be used in the research process. So first we are going to collect that. Within the organization itself, what kind of data we can collect for achieving the research objectives. This can sometimes be in the heads of the personnel. External sources includes the various directories from where we can collect the data, secondary data, or the country information, the government or any other institutions reports. We can use those reports for our secondary data collection, or any published marketing research reports by the companies, news sources, CGM, newspapers, news groups, blogs, all these, like internet, the first single search engine and multiple search engines. Through all these external sources, I can collect the secondary data, which is required according to my designed research objectives. Then, how can I conduct the primary research? The primary research is basically the original research. Here, we are going to collect the information through various tools available. So in primary research, we don't tend to depend on any third party. We may conduct interview or survey or observe, or even directly go to the object for collecting the information. We personally involve in that and we collect the information. This primary research, we get under this fresh hand information, which will not be used by anyone else, and we are collecting it for our own purpose to be served. Then the next step in research process is analyzing the data. So how we are going to analyze the data? So the data can be analyzed by using different methodologies. So method based, logical and thorough analysis we will be doing, where these all thorough and logical analysis would be based on certain methods, certain methodologies which are part of research. We will be doing it. The data interpretation, that is information used for decisions. We will be doing the data interpretation. Whatever the data we have collected, based on that we are going to frame some interpretation, some conclusions, some results, and those interpretations would be used for decisions. Then there are other various tools which can be used for analyzing the data. Then comes the presenting the result. The final step in here, this research project process is presenting the result, that is in the form of report. So we are going to present the result. It can be in the form of executive summary, then body would be there, conclusions would be there, Limitations of the study will be there, and then supplements also would be the part of this result. So in our today's session, we have discussed what is consumer research and what are the consumer research process, what is the consumer research process, how and where, how and from which methodologies we can collect the data, what are the steps in research process we have seen, the 5 different steps, that is defining objective, that is need for research, then designing the research project, then data collection, analyzing the data, and then presenting the result. Friends, hope you have understood. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much.